ain't gonna lie, me too. When I went on her page and seen her pictures, I said, oh, jump scare.
Tous ces régimes ont souvent
Let's talk
provoqué
about
la
the Megan and
controverse chez
Yunai
les
live
fans,
drama,
ainsi
from their
que les
stupid beef
internautes
to
plus
people accusing
généralement.
Megan of almost saying the N-word. It's a mess. The short version? Megan and Yunai admitted they had beef. Megan called herself out for being a stressed brat. They both laughed, said they're good now and moved on. Then the internet did what it always does, ripped it out of context, chewed it up, spat out, she almost said the N-word. Threw in a banana equals racist theory for seasoning, and suddenly we're 3 threads deep into is Megan a colonizer discourse off a Weverse live that was literally supposed to be closure. On the live, the vibe was not tell. All expose, it was we were messy trainees, let's clown ourselves. Megan nudged Yunai like tell them about our fights. They bickered about who started it, aka Megan, who basically admitted she lashed out when she was stressed and acted like a bee. And the tone was very much we survived this, we're cool, we're joking about it now. It was 2 girls dragging their past selves, not one victim trembling on camera. But Twitter saw a confession arc and said perfect villain origin. Story unlocked, then came that clip, the infamous chopped moment where Megan is arguing, saying y'all, then her mouth hits an N sound, stutter and continue talking.
All y'all like to say that Megan just has beef with everyone.
People jumped straight to she almost said the N-word and caught herself. Let's be clear. In the full context, she does not say the N-word, she says y'all. Her mouth stumbles into an N consonant, then she keeps talking. It sounds like a stutter, an interrupted word, or just her tongue tripping over itself mid-rant. If your entire case relies on a clipped consonant with no actual word finished, I don't know what to tell you, especially with how Megan have talked about being dyslexic. Dyslexia isn't she can't read good lol. It's a legit learning difference that mostly affects how the brain processes written language, but it can also spill into speech, mixing up words, starting one word and accidentally sliding into another, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, hesitating, repeating syllables. When your brain's racing faster than your mouth, it's not the same as a classic stutter disorder, but under stress, dyslexic people can trip over sounds, restart phrases or clip words in ways that sound messy or jagged. Now add arguing on live and the whole world watching, and yeah, her mouth glitching on a consonant isn't some shocking plot twist. It fits way more with neurodivergent girl tripping over her own sentence while heated than secretly about to drop a slur and heroically stopping at the letter N. If you're going to drag her, at least factor in the actual context of how her brain works instead of pretending every slip is a confession. Then because the internet can never stop at one half-baked point, someone dug up the older clip where Megan assigns fruits to members and calls Yunai a banana, with Yunai asking why twice. You can see she's confused. This is where the conversation at least becomes understandable. In English-speaking contexts, banana has been used as a slur for Asians, yellow on the outside, white on the inside. That is a real thing. And people aren't crazy for flinching when they hear that word thrown at an Asian girl, especially the youngest Korean member on camera by an older teammate, at minimum. It's tone deaf, at worst, it could be a microaggression, but the problem is, people jump straight from this could be loaded to this proves she's racist and targeted her. Like we have a diary entry labeled I meant it like that. And this is where nuance dies, because the reality is more messy than either side wants. On one hand, yes, Megan herself admitted she was mean when stressed, she owned it, called herself out, said she acted badly and said she and Yunai moved through it and are close now. That's literally what the live was, not a scandal trailer, but closure. On the other hand, you still can't pretend calling the youngest Korean member banana on camera was some galaxy brain genius moment. People reacting to that with discomfort are not insane. You can acknowledge this was probably meant as dumb teasing and still say this was not smart, and I get why people side-eye it. Also, pretending this is some white versus Asian power dynamic is lazy. This isn't a fully non-Asian versus Asian lineup situation. Yunai is Korean, Sophia is Filipina, 2 of the American members have Asian roots too, Lara is Indian, Megan is Chinese Singaporean. This is not a white girl bullying the only Asian in the room. This is a group full of girls from different backgrounds plus global upbringing, cultural baggage and language gaps. It doesn't cancel out potential microaggressions, but it absolutely complicates the narrative more than evil Western oppressor versus pure Korean victim. Now add another layer. Katseye have been called out repeatedly for using AAVE-coded language in a way that feels like edgy seasoning for their relatable image. So when people already feel uncomfortable with the way English and attitude are being used, that tiny N sound in the clip hits every trigger. People have already decided they're careless with black-coded speech. From there, it's easy for them to believe the worst. But again, you need proof, not just vibes layered on vibes. You can criticize their use of AAVE and still admit that specific N-word almost clip is nothing. Personally, where I land is this. Yes, Megan was mean to Yunai as a trainee. She said it herself. Yes, they had real conflict that was not cute. Yes, she could have said weird or tone-deaf things, banana included. Yes, Katseye's use of slang and persona can feel AAVE adjacent in a way that makes people uncomfortable. But on the other hand, we had beef is not automatically we had abuse. A clipped consonant in a live stream is not proof of a slur. We do not know for a fact that Megan used banana in the Western racist sense. Turning every resolved conflict plus badly edited moment into a fully formed hate crime narrative doesn't help anyone. Some of you want a villain so badly you're stitching together I was a brat. She called her a fruit and her mouth made an N noise once into a manifesto. You're not wrong to care about bullying, racism or microaggressions. That concern is valid. But when you dilute it with fake evidence and overreach, You make it easier for companies and fans to roll their eyes at the whole conversation and write it off as overreaction. And that's exactly what's happening with Katseye. Every time they breathe, a clip trends for the wrong reason. The banana thing, the supposed slur, the way they speak English, what they say in interviews, the way they behave on lives, some of it is genuinely worth talking about. Some of it is just people being hyper-parasocial, jealous, bored or desperate for a new outrage cycle. Hybe and the show's producers love this, by the way. They get constant virality, never-ending engagement, and the serious issues get buried under baseless fan wars. Because there are real problems around this group that aren't getting the proper unpacking they deserve. AKA the way the youngest member is sexualized and pushed into adult-coded aesthetics, how global casting meets Korean industry standards and all of that. But instead of focused, honest, informed criticism, the timeline keeps getting clogged with weak points. Like she almost said the N-word. Maybe, I think, if you squint, and that gives the label cover to lump everything together and dismiss all of it as haters. If you're mad, at least be mad at the right things. Be mad at the industry that puts minors in dangerous environments. Be mad at lazy usage of AVE for vibes. Be mad at tone-deaf jokes that punch down instead of taking responsibility. But don't act like one stutter is a slur. Don't pretend a fruit bit we don't have full intent on is the same as a clear confirmed racist insult. And don't twist "we fought, we fixed it, we're close now" into "she's secretly still torturing her." The Katseye discourse is starting to feel like a spin-off of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Constant clips, constant drama, constant overanalysis, and very little nuance. At this point they really do feel like New Jeans' main competition controversy-wise. 2. Baby monsters Rora, Pharita, and Ahean will be performing Golden at Mama. Some people are saying Ahean will scream so they are scared she will get hate. Before we start, I need to say this. I wrote this commentary before seeing the news about the tragic fire in Hong Kong that has taken so many lives and affected countless families. Right now there are reports of multiple casualties, injuries, and people still unaccounted for. And it honestly feels wrong to jump straight into jokes or criticism without acknowledging that. My thoughts are with the victims, their loved ones, and everyone in Hong Kong dealing with the shock and grief of this situation. I don't know yet if Mama will be postponed or cancelled because of what happened. And that's not for me to predict or decide. What you're about to hear is how I felt about Baby Monster and Mama before I knew any of this. So please keep that context in mind while watching. Baby Monster doing Golden will be a serve. But also, why is this stage moving like it was planned by people who don't actually watch K-pop? You've got a song that's basically the vocal flex track of 5th gen. You've got Baemon, Meow, Isna, literal vocal ammo sitting right there, and instead of turning it into a girls Avengers type collab like they did with the Saja Boys lineup, they just slap Baby Monster on it solo and call it a day. A Baemon Meow Isna stage on Golden could have ended careers, and they went nah, typical. And yeah, let's not act new. YG never lets Baemon touch other groups. Now performance-wise, Golden is a monster of a song, live. It exposes absolutely everything: breath support, register control, vowel shaping, tension, all of it. Even the original singer lowered the key for live stages, which tells you everything you need to know. Stacey's cover 3 months ago proved this. Yoon, Xiun and Jae didn't just survive it, they understood it. Jae ate the lower register with that deep tone and actual stability. Yoon handled the upper lines with way more comfort. And Xiun did exactly what a main vocalist is supposed to do: connect everything and keep the emotional line steady even when the pitch goes up and the lungs are screaming. Was there some shouting on the climaxes? Yeah, a bit. They knew which parts were above their natural sweet spot and pushed just enough to sell the emotion without completely tearing their throats apart. For an almost impossible song live. That cover was insane. Now Ahean is where this gets risky. People keep saying she's gonna scream it like it's a meme. But unfortunately, there's actual technique truth behind that. Historically, YG loves giving her notes that sit just above where her voice actually wants to live, then refusing to lower the key. Add that to her naturally loud tone and her habit of attacking high notes with full force instead of mixing them more gently. And you get that classic YG problem. Impressive on first listen, exhausting on replay. That radio snippet of her singing Golden? Anyone with functioning ears could hear she was outside her comfort zone. She was straining, running out of air and compensating with volume instead of support. That's not her being a bad singer. That's her being pushed into a key that doesn't respect her actual placement. And to be clear, Ahean is not a weak vocalist. In 70% of groups she'd be main vocal without question. Her projection, natural power, and tonal presence are huge assets. But power doesn't replace technique, if she tries to copy the original key and emotional intensity, and YG refuses to drop the key even a half step. She's going to end up screaming through the climaxes again the way she did in the drip bridge. And the gag is, she doesn't need to. Her tone suits this song. Her loud, powerful voice is exactly what Golden needs. If she eases up on the brute force, leans into a healthier mix, and lets the mic do some work instead of her throat, this could be one of those covers we replay for years. Then we've got Rora, who honestly has one of the best low registers in 5th gen, no exaggeration. Her timbre in the mid-low area is exactly what Golden needs in the into verse and key bridge sections where the melody dips more. Because that's where she can create contrast and let Ahean handle the higher peaks. Pharita is criminally underrated in this whole discussion. No, she's not the best vocalist in the group, and yes, her tone is polarizing for some people. But vocally she's actually grown in one very important area. how she transitions between registers. Before, when she'd approach her upper notes, you could hear that disconnect. The tone would go a bit flat emotionally. Her switch from chest to head voice felt a bit stitched together. But recently though, she's been smoothing that out. The line from mid to upper register has more continuity now. For a song like Golden, which has tons of sustained emotional upper lines, that matters, and personally, her accent and pronunciation give her this luxury color that fits a song like this. The saving grace in all of this is simple. Baby Monster are going to sing it fully live. That alone already puts them ahead of half the industry's special stages where everyone just lip syncs to refined studio belts and calls it a tribute. The only real question is, will they lower the key like professionals? Or will YG ego their way through it and make Ahean die on a high note for the sake of impact? Either way, they're talented enough that the stage won't be bad. The difference between good and legendary here is literally one decision: key and control versus pride and yelling.